The Black Yajurveda, Kanda 3, Prapathaka 4. The optional and occasional offerings, Mantra 3-4-1. The sacrifice of him whose offering is too large is unsuccessful. Surya, the god for those that sit in the sky, he says, verily with the aid of Brihaspati and Prajapati he makes good the deficiency in the sacrifice. Now the Rakshasas infest the victim if it being offered to one deity is greater than normal. Thou who hast a tawny embryo, he says, verily he sends it to the gods to smite away the Rakshasas. Bring near, O bringer, he says, verily with the holy power he brings it. I split apart thy urinator, he says. That is according to the text, the drop far extending of all form, he says. The drop is offspring and cattle. Verily with offspring and cattle he unites him. To the sky the deficiency of the sacrifice goes. To the earth the redundancy. If he were not to appease it, the sacrificer would be ruined. May the two great ones, sky and earth, for us, he says, verily by means of sky and earth, he appeases both the deficiency and the redundancy of the sacrifice. The sacrificer is not ruined. He covers the offering with ashes for the call of God's speed. Now this is the embryo of these two. Verily in these two he deposits it. If he were to cut off, he would make it redundant. If he were not to cut off, he would fail to cut off from the victim which has been offered. One portion he should cut off from in front of the navel, another behind it. The expiration is in front of the navel, the inspiration behind. Verily he cuts off from the whole extent of the victim. He offers to Vishnu, Sipavishta. Vishnu, Sipavishta is the redundancy of the sacrifice, the greatness of the victim, the prosperity thereof. Verily in the redundant he deposits the redundant. To appease the redundant, the sacrificial fee is gold of 8 measures, for the victim has 8 feet. The self is the 9th. Verily it serves to win the victim. It is enveloped in a turban in an inner box, for so, as it were, is the victim. The omentum, the skin, the flesh, the bone verily obtains and wins the whole extent of the victim. He for whom in the sacrifice this expiration is offered, by his sacrificing becomes richer. Now, heaven and earth would tend to have more of the effect if they rendered that part of it that way. People fall into the error of if they just heap up sacrifices and all this other stuff rather than focusing on what is obliged, and trying to put the best consciousness and effort into that, they think they're doing better. And one remembers some of the stuff in the Bible, Isaiah and Hosea and stuff about, they think deity is some bloodthirsty, flesh-hungry entity that, no, they wanted the obedience and the sacrifice, not, a bigger and bigger pile. Mantra 3-4-2 goes up to G. O Vayu, drinker of the pure, come to us. 1,000 are thy teams, O thou that hast all choice boons. For thee the sweet drink hath been drawn, whereof, O God, thou hast the first drink. For intent thee, for desire thee, for prosperity thee. Kikita thy mind, Prajapata hail. Kikita thy breath, to Vayu hail. Kikita thy eye, to Surya hail. Kikita thy ear, to sky and earth hail. Kikita thy speech, to Sarasvati hail. Thou, the fourth, art the barren, the eager one. Since once in thought the embryo hath entered thy womb, do thou, the barren, go eagerly to the gods. Be the desires of the sacrificer fulfilled. Thou art the goat, resting on wealth, sit on the earth, mount aloft on the atmosphere. In the sky be thy great radiance. Stretching the thread of the atmosphere, do thou pursue the light. Guard the paths of light made by prayer. Weave ye without a flaw the work of the singers. Become Manu. Produce thou the host divine. Thou art the offering of the mind, the color of Prajapati. May we share thy limbs. And just as we had in the last, the 8 and then 1 is the 9th. So remember to think yourself as part of it. And the true offering is of oneself, regardless of what you're offering externally. Mantra 343. These two were together. Vayu blew them apart. They conceived a child, Soma generated it. Agni swallowed it. Prajapati saw this offering. To Agni on 8 potsherds he offered it, and thereby he redeemed this victim from Agni. Therefore, though sacrificing it to another god, still one should offer first on 8 potsherds to Agni. Fairly redeeming it from Agni, he offers it, because Vayu blew them apart. Therefore, it is connected with Vayu, because these two conceived. Therefore, it is connected with sky and earth, because Soma generated and Agni swallowed. Therefore, it is connected with Agni and Soma, because when the two parted, speech was uttered. Therefore, is it connected with Sarasvati, because Prajapati redeemed it from Agni. Therefore, is it connected with Prajapati. The barren goat is connected with the all gods. To Vayu should he offer it, who desires wealth. The swiftest deity is a Vayu. Verily he has recourse to Vayu with his own share, and he causes him to attain wealth. To sky and earth should he offer it, who in plowing desires support. Verily from the sky, Parajanya, rains for him, plants spring up in this earth. His corn prospers. To Agni and Soma should he offer it, who desires. May I be possessed of food and eater of food. By Agni he wins food. By Soma the eating of food. Verily he becomes possessed of food and eater of food. To Sarasvati he should offer it, who being able to utter speech cannot utter speech. Sarasvati is speech. Verily he has recourse to Sarasvati with her own share, and she bestows speech upon him. To Prajapati should he offer it, who desires. May I gang that which has not been ganged. All the deities are Prajapati. Verily by the deities he gangs what has not been ganged. He brings the victims up with a verse addressed to Vayu. Verily winning it from Vayu, he offers it for intent thee, for desire thee. He says that is according to the text. He offers with the sound kikita. At the sound kikita, the domestic animals stop. The wild run away, and that he offers with the sound kikita, it serves to support domestic animals. He offers while the circumambulation by fire is taking place. Verily alive, he sends it to the world of heaven. Thou, the fourth, art the barren, the eager one. He says, verily he sends it to the gods. Be the desires of the sacrificer fulfilled. He says, this is the desire of the sacrificer, that the sacrifice should proceed to its conclusion without injury. Thou art the goat, resting in wealth. He says, verily in these worlds he makes it find support. In the sky be thy great radiance. He says, verily in the world of heaven he bestows light upon him. Stretching the thread of the atmosphere, do thou pursue the light. He says, verily he makes these worlds full of light for him. Weave ye without a flaw the work of singers. He says, whatever flaw is committed in the sacrifice, this serves to atone for it. Become Manu. Produce thou the host divine. He says, offspring are connected with Manu. Verily he makes them fit for food. Thou art the offering of mine. He says, to make God speed. May we share thy limbs. He says, verily he invokes this blessing of this victim. There is one time unperpetuous for sacrifice to the gods. When a cloud appears, when it has been offered, if a cloud should appear when it has been offered, he should either cast it into the waters or eat it whole. If he were to cast it into the waters, he would confuse the sacrifice. He should eat it whole. Verily, he bestows power upon himself. By 3 people is this to be performed. Him who performs a year-long satra, him who offers with 1,000 gifts, and him who is a domestic sacrificer. With it let them sacrifice, for them is it fit. And by gods, I mean the light beings, the devas, which I don't believe are gendered, and experience and otherwise, we see the idea that maybe one doesn't have to worship them. They're just going to naturally take part in things that are of that side. And the Jaya Abhayatana and Rashtrabrit offerings, mantra 344, has A and B. Thought and thinking, intent and intention, known and knowledge, mind and power, the new and the full moon, the Brihat and the Ratantara. Prajapata bestowed victories on Indra, the strong, he who is dread in battle contest. To him all the people bowed in reverence, for he waxed dread, worthy of offering. The gods and the asuras were in conflict. Indra had recourse to Prajapata. To him he gave these victories, offerings. He offered them. Then indeed were the gods victorious over the asuras, in that they were victorious. That is why the offerings are called victorious. They should be offered by one engaged in conflict. Rarely does he win in the conflict. Now, some of the references are kind of confused. So is it the fire beings and the light beings, and like there's a god, ultimate divinity over that? That seems to be an overlying thing, but the different names of who's at the top and some of the other stuff. Mantra 345 goes up to C. Agna, overlord of creatures, may he help me. Indra of powers, Yama of earth, Vayu of the atmosphere, Surya of the sky, Chandramas of nakshatras, Brahaspata of holy power, Mitra of truths, Varuna of waters, the ocean of streams, food of lordships, overlord, may it help me. Soma of plants, Savitar of instigations, Rudra of cattle, Tavashtar of forms, Vishnu of mountains, the Marutas of troops, overlords, may they help me. O ye fathers, ye grandfathers, ye further, ye nearer, ye dadas, ye grandadas, do ye here help me in this holy power, this worldly power, this prayer, this purohitaship, this rite, this invocation of the gods. Well, one of the things we see once Mitra and stuff and other such entities started being worshipped, eventually it developed into what we call Mithraism. Rather than initially it would have been a reference to, here the, the angels of this, that, and the other. And, you pray to be on the same side as them. Mantra 346. What the gods did at the sacrifice the asuras did, the gods saw these overpowering hamas. They performed them. The rite of the gods succeeded. That of the asuras did not succeed. If he is desirous of prospering in a rite, then should he offer them, and in that rite he prospers. In that the all gods brought together the materials. The abhyatanas are connected with the all gods, in that Prajapata bestowed the victories, Jayas. Therefore the Jayas are connected with Prajapata, in that they won the kingdom for the Rashtrabrits. That is why the Rashtrabrits, supporters of the kingdom, have their name. The gods overpowered the asuras with the Abhyatanas, conquered them with the Jayas, and won the kingdom with the Rashtrabrits, in that the gods overpowered Abhyatandata. The asuras with the Abhyatanas, that is why the Abhyatanas have their name, in that they conquered Ajayan. With them, the Jayas, that is why the Jayas have their name, in that they won the kingdom with the Rashtrabrits. That is why the Rashtrabrits have their name. Then the gods prospered, the Asuras were defeated. He who has foes should offer these offerings. Verily, by the Apyatanas, he overpowers his foes. By the Jayas, he conquers them. By the Rashtrabrits, he wins the kingdom. He prospers himself. His foe is defeated. And yeah, it depends on one's intention. If the light beings and the fire beings take part in something, well, the light beings ultimately are innocent and genderless and all this stuff. So, they're ever successful with it. But the intentions of other beings, well, that can vary, right? And when it comes to creations, they obtain names via their actions. Ultimate deity, the names and the essences go beyond any created thing going on with them. Well, certainly that's the essences. Well, the names do, but the can't really even talk about the essences. Mantra 347 goes up to M. Supporting holy order, abounding in truth, Agna is the Gandharva, his Apsarases are the plants. Called strength, may he protect this holy power, this lordly power. May they protect this holy power, this lordly power. To him hail, to them hail, the compact possessing all the Samans. The sun is the Gandharva, his Apsarases are the rays, called active, etc. The all-blessed sun-rayed Chandramas is the Gandharva, his Apsarases are the nakshatras, called the bright, etc. The active, the winged sacrifice is the Gandharva, his Apsarases are the sacrificial fees, called praises, etc. Prajapata, all creator, the mind, is the Gandharva, his Apsarases are the rich and the Saman verses, called hymns, etc. The swift, all-pervading wind is the Gandharva, his Apsarases are the waters, called delights, etc. O Lord of the worlds, thou who hast houses above and here, do thou give us increase of wealth, unfailing, rich in heroes, prosperity abiding through the year. The supreme ruler, the overlord, death is the Gandharva. His Apsarases are the whole world, called the worlds, etc. With fair abode, fair wealth, doer of good deeds, holding the light. Parjanya is the Gandharva, his Apsarases are the lightnings, called the radiant, etc., whose dart speeds far. The pitiless death is the Gandharva, the Apsarases are his offspring, called the timid, etc. The dear one, looking with desire, love is the Gandharva, his Apsarases are thoughts, called the burning. May he protect this, our holy power, our lordly power. May they protect this, our holy power, our lordly power. To him hail, to them hail. O Lord of the world, thou who hast houses above and here, do thou accord wide great protection to this holy power, this holy work. And yeah, if we categorize these things, like the Shimham Parash thing is like, well, you have these 3-letter names, and then you add the Al and the Yah to, and you get the angels. And then there's all these material ways where we understand these principles, and this is sort of the thing they're doing, this linking of this quality and that quality and all. Mantra 348. They should be offered for one who desires the kingdom. The Rashtrabrits are the kingdom. Verily with the kingdom he wins the kingdom. For him he becomes the kingdom. They should be offered for oneself. The Rashtrabrits are the kingdom. The people are the kingdom. Cattle are the kingdom, in that he becomes the highest, he is the kingdom. Verily, with the kingdom he wins the kingdom, he becomes the richest of his equals. They should be offered for one who desires a village. The Rashtrabrits are the kingdom, his fellows are the kingdom. Verily, with the kingdom he wins for him his fellows and the kingdom. He becomes possessed of a village, he offers on the dicing place. Verily, on the dicing place he wins his fellows for him, and being won, they wait upon him. They should be offered on the mouth of the chariot for him who desires force. The Rashtrabrits are force, the chariot is force. Verily, by force he wins for him, he becomes possessed of force. They should be offered for him who is expelled from his kingdom to all his chariots. He should say, be yoked. Verily, he yokes the kingdom for him. The oblations of him whose realm is not in order are disordered. He should take off the right wheel of his chariot and offer in the box. So he puts in order his oblation. And the kingdom comes in order in accord with their coming into order. They should be offered when the battle is joined. The Rashtrabrits are the kingdom, and for the kingdom do they strive who go to battle together. He for whom first they offer prospers, and wins this battle. The kindling wood is from the Madhuka tree. The coals, shrinking back, make the host of his foe to shrink back. They should be offered for one who is mad, for it is the Gandharva and the Apsaras who madden him who is mad. The Rashtrabrits are the Gandharva and the Apsaras. To him hail, to them hail. With these words he offers, and thereby he appeases them. Of Yajurveda, Udumbara, Asvata, or Plaksha wood is the kindling wood. These are the homes of the Gandharva and the Apsaras. Verily he appeases them in their own abode. They should be offered in inverse order by one who is practicing witchcraft. So he fastens on his breaths from in front, and then at pleasure lays him low. He offers in a natural cleft or hollow that of this earth is seized by misfortune. Verily on a place seized by misfortune he makes misfortune seize upon him. With what is harsh in speech he utters of a shot call. Verily with the harshness of speech he cuts him down. Swiftly he is ruined. If he desire of a man, let me take his eating of food. He should fall at length in his hall, and with the words, O Lord of the world, gather blades of grass. The Lord of the world is Prajapata. Verily by Prajapati he takes his eating of food. Here do I take the eating of food of Naman Neskio, descendant of Naman Neskio. He says, verily he takes his eating of food with 6 verses. He takes, the seasons are 6. Verily the seasons, having taken by Prajapata his eating of food, bestows it on him. If the head of a family is expelled, they should be offered for him, placing him on a mound and cooking a Brahman's mess of 4 saravas in size. The Rashtrabrits are preeminence. The mound is preeminence. Verily by preeminence he makes him preeminent among his equals. The offering is of 4 saravas in size. Verily he finds support in the quarters. It is made of milk. Verily he bestows brilliance upon him. He takes it out to make it cooked. It is full of butter for purity. 4 descended from riches partake of it. Verily he offers in the light of the quarters. And don't wait to do your charity or offerings until everything else is done. Consider of what you have and give of the extra first. Mantra 349. I mean, you don't have to give all the extra, but he who desires should drink more. He who desires offspring should offer the oblations too. The minor deities are the meters. Offspring are, as it were, the meters. Verily by the meters he produces offspring for him. He makes Vatar first. Verily he produces pairing with him. Anumata gives approval to him. Raka gives Snivali, produces, and an offspring, when produced by Kuhu, he places speech. These offerings also should he make who desire cattle. The minor deities are the meters. Cattle are as it were the meters. Verily, by the meters he produces offspring. For him he makes Thatar first. By him he scatters. He produces offspring. For him he makes Thatar first. By him he scatters. Anamata gives approval to him. Raka gives. Snivali produces. And by Kuhu he establishes offspring. When produced, these offerings also should he make who desires a village. The minor deities are the meters. A village is as it were the meters. Verily, by the meters he wins a village for him. He puts Thatar in the middle. Verily, he places him in the middle of a village. These offerings also should he offer who is long ill. The minor deities are the meters. The meters are unfavorable to him whose illness is long. Verily, by the meters he makes him well. He puts Thatar in the middle. It is not in order in the middle of him whose illness is long. Verily, thereby in the middle he puts thanks in order for him. These offerings should he offer to whom the sacrifice does not resort. The minor deities are the meters. The meters do not resort to him whom the sacrifice does not resort. He puts Thatar first. Verily, in his mouth he places the meters. The sacrifice resorts to him. These offerings also should he make who has sacrificed. The minor deities are the meters. The meters of him who has sacrificed are worn out, as it were. He puts Thatar last. Verily, afterwards he wins for him the meters unwearied. The next sacrifice resorts to him. These offerings should he make to whom wisdom does not resort. The minor deities are the meters. The meters do not resort to him to whom wisdom does not resort. He puts the Thatar first. Verily, in his mouth he places the meters. Wisdom resorts to him. These offerings also should he make who desires brilliance. The minor deities are the meters. Brilliance is, as it were, the meters. Verily, by the meters he bestows brilliance upon him. They are made in milk. Verily, he bestows brilliance upon him. He puts Thatar in the middle. Verily, he places him in the middle of brilliance. Anamata is the Gayatri, Raka the Trishtub, Sinivali the Jagati, Kuhu the Anushtub, Thatar the Vashatkal. Raka is the first fortnight. Kuhu is the second. Sinivali the new moon night. Adamata the full moon night. Thatar the moon. The Vasus are 8. The Gayatri has 8 syllables. The Rudras are 11. The Trishtub has 11 syllables. The Adityas are 12. The Jagati has 12 syllables. The Anushtub is Prajapata the Vashat call Thatar. Thus, indeed, the minor deities are the meters, and all the gods of the Vashat call. If he were to offer them all at once, they would be likely to burn him up. He should offer first 2 and a third the Thatar, and then offer likewise the last 2. Thus they do not burn him up, and for whatever desire they are offered, that he obtains by them. And again, we're reminded that the outer deeds, the what people will call the secular side of the rite, although it's not secular because it's in a religious context, without the verses, without the intention, then it doesn't really turn your way. Almost the entirety of what the thing is lost. But you got to carry this out into action, the wisdom element. Mantra 3, 4, 10, A and B. O Vastoshpata, accept us, be of kind entrance for us, and free from ill. That which we seek from thee, do thou accord us, and health be thou for our bipeds, health for our quadrupeds. O Vastoshpata, may we be comrades of thee, in friendship, effectual, joyful, and producing well. Aid our wishes, in peace and action do ye guard us ever with blessings. In that evening and morning he offers the Agnihotra, the sacrificer, thus piles up the oblation bricks. The bricks of him who has established a sacred fire are the days and nights, and that he offers evening and morning. Verily he obtains the days and nights, and making them into bricks piles them up. He offers 10 in the same place. The Viraj has 10 syllables. Verily, having obtained the Viraj, he makes it into a brick and piles it up. Verily, in the Viraj he obtains the sacrifice. The piling up must be repeated by him. Therefore, That is the place of sacrifice where he advances, having spent 10 nights. Not suitable is the place where he spends less time than that now. Vastoshpata is Rudra. If he were to go on without offering to Vastoshpata, the fire, becoming Rudra, would leap after him and slay him. He offers to Vastoshpata. Verily, with his own share he appeases him. The sacrificer does not come to ruin. If he were to offer with the chariot yoked, that would be as when one offers an oblation on a place he has left. If he were to offer without the chariot being yoked, that would be as when one offers an oblation at rest. Verily no offering would be made to Vastoshpata. The right animal is yoked, the left is not yoked, and thus he offers to Vastoshpata. Verily he does both, and appeases him completely. If he were to offer with one verse, he would make it a ladle offering, having pronounced the Puru Nuvakya. He offers with the Yaja to win the gods. If he were to load his cart after the offering, he would make Rudra enter his house. If he were to set out without extinguishing the smoldering embers, it would be like a confusion of the sacrifice or a burning. This is thy birthplace in season. With these words he places the embers on the kindling sticks. This is the birthplace of Agni. Verily he mounts it on its own birthplace. Now they say, if being placed on the kindling sticks it should be lost, his fire would be dispersed. It would have to be piled up again with thy body, O Agni, worthy of sacrifice. Come hither and mount. With these words, he makes it mount on himself. The birthplace of fire is the sacrificer. Verily on its own birthplace he causes it to mount. And certain things about the structure. But previously we saw that, some things are not until certain times or certain things have taken place. And what do you identify the birthplace of the fire with your own life, right? But yeah, this idea that Hindus were supposed to be vegetarian, no, it wasn't that they were supposed to be vegetarian. It's that they were supposed to always have this stuff as part of a religious act. Just like in the Islamic world, you're not supposed to eat and drink or do anything good unless it's in the name of God. Well, most things aren't usually a sin in that respect, but you know what I mean. Like mantra 3, 4, 11 goes up to you. Long life thou givest, O Agni, O God of the giver, sage lord of the house, the youthful, bearing the oblations, Agni immortal, our father, wide extending, wide refulgent, fair to see for us. With good household fire do thou shine forth food, mete out to uswards renown. O do thou, O Soma, will life for us, that we may not die. Thou that lovest praise, Lord of the forest, Brahman of the gods, leader of the poets, sage of seers, bull of wild beasts, eagle of vultures, axe of the forests, Soma goeth over the sieve singing. With our hymns today we choose the God of all, the Lord of the true, Savitar of true instigation, coming with true light, placing the mortal and the immortal with the golden car, Savitar. The God advanceth, gazing on the worlds, that Aditya may accord to our cattle, our men, our kind, to our offspring, Rudra's grace. Harm us not in our children, our descendants, nor in our life. Harm us not in our cattle, and our horses might not in anger. Our heroes, O Rudra, with oblations let us serve thee with honor, like watchful birds swimming in water, like the noises of the loud thundercloud, like joyous waves breaking forth from the mountains. The praises have lauded Brihaspati, with comrades shouting like swans. Casting aside his stone-made fetters, Brihaspati thundered towards the cows, and praised and sang in celebration, perceiving them. Hither, O Indra, enduring wealth, victorious, bearing all. Highest for help do thou bring. O thou much invoked, thou dost endure the foes. Best be thy strength, thy gift here. Bring riches with thy right hand. O Indra, thou art the lord of rich rivers. Thou wert born in the full size at once, for the drinking of Sama when pressed. O Indra, O wise one, for preeminence, thou art mighty, O Indra, with holy power to be adored at every pressing. Thou art an overthrower of men in every conflict, and the highest song, O Lord of all the people, the fame of Mitra, supporter of the people of the God is eternal. True and most varied in fame, Mitra stirreth men, the wise one. Mitra supporteth earth and sky. Mitra regardeth men with unwinking eye. To the true one let us offer an oblation rich in ghee, rich in food. Be that mortal, O Mitra, who, O Aditya, seeks to follow thy law. Aided by thee, he is not slain nor oppressed. Affliction cometh to him neither from near nor from afar. Whatever law of thine, as men, O God Varuna, day by day we transgress. Whatever wrong we mortals here do against the host divine, whatever breach of thy laws we make through lack of thought, for that sin, O God, harm us not, as gamesters cheat in dicing. What we know in truth are what we know not. All that do thou, O God, loosen as it were, and may we be dear to thee, O Varuna. And see, these other entities, as they are of the ultimate divinity, that's how they have these qualities. And the right hand goes out. Well, the right hand takes in, the left hand puts out, as far as the right hand path and the left hand path thing. But you can give as part of the right hand path too. Because the right hand path is the yoking, and the left hand path is the weaving. So identifying with and connecting, it all kind of looks the same. There's all this nonsense about the left hand path and the right hand path. It's like, that doesn't even tell you what spiritual side you're on.